If you need to bolt a Sprag in a 518 or a 618, which is a 46 and 47 RH respectively, it's just different nomenclature, or the 46, 47, and 48 RE, from 1991 to 2007, you're going to have to buy this installation fixture tool. There are two different installation tools available. There's an economy and a professional. This one here is a professional tool, and the reason being is because it has these hardened steel inserts here, so you can just use your drill bit and drill that directly once it's on the transmission case. This bolt-in Sprag is also made by A&A Transmission, and this is the plastic 14 roller style caged Sprag from, like I said, 1991 2007. You could buy this installation toolkit from A&A Transmission in Indiana. You could also buy it from TransStar. You could buy it from Andrews Racing Transmissions as well, or any of the A&A Transmission dealers nationwide. You could contact us. The best way to contact us is probably Facebook/Andrews Racing Trans. That's the best way to get a hold of us. I've already driven out my outer Sprag race cam from the case. This case is completely degreased and glass bead blasted. So the way you do that is you're gonna, of course, use your punch, and through the overdrive piston support, you're gonna drive out your outer Sprag race cam through these holes. Now, one thing to take note of on this, if you watch my other video on the 727 Sprag installation, I showed you that there's a set screw here that's also going to hold that Sprag in from the factory at the 6 o'clock position. These RE and RH transmissions do not have that set screw. The reasoning for wanting to bolt this Sprag in is because this was loose in the case, and after we degrease and bead blast, then we do another final inspection, and you could put your fingers in there and rock this back and forth. So that's the whole reasoning for me for wanting to bolt this Sprag in. Inherently, this plastic style Sprag, it's caged like I mentioned, and it's actually pretty strong. I've seen a couple fail, but that's mainly due to misuse in first gear. As I've mentioned several times, you could only damage this Sprag in this style torque flight transmission in first gear. The 6 bolt holes that are drilled into this A&A bolt-in Sprag, they don't line up with these 6 bolt holes on the overdrive piston support. So you need this tool to drill the case. You're going to set this tool up with these 3 attaching bolts into the overdrive piston retainer. That's going to get it into the correct position. Go ahead and get this in there and tight. I realize you guys are upside down. This is the top of the case. Now the fixture's installed. Even though this came with a transfer punch, you're not going to need to use it because you're just going to use your drill bit, and the hardened insert is just going to guide your bit to where it needs to be. Go ahead and use a drop of cutting oil on your bit and drill your holes. So I've got all my holes drilled, and at this point, since I did use some cutting oil and chips may not just blow out, they might get stuck in there. I'm gonna go ahead and blow this out, but I'm also gonna put this in the solvent tank and get it cleaned up again real good. I also have to hone my servo bores, so once I get it cleaned up real good, then we'll install the Sprag. These are your 6/4 by 28 installation bolts. Now, if you watch my previous video about the 727 Ultimate Sprag and the installation on that, there's two ways to get this outer Sprag race cam into the case. You could either press it with an arbor press, which I've done before, or you could draw it into the case with bolts, which is what I do, and I'll show you how to do that. This also has a receiver groove in it to catch any of the metal, the aluminum shavings that are going to happen while you're drawing that in. Now, you're going to have to use these longer bolts. I realize you probably don't have a great selection of 1/4 by 28 hardware at your home. So is what I have some extra 1 3/4 inch length, and I'm going to use some of these hardened washers in between, and then a spacer nut to draw this in, because you need the extra length because these bolts are too short, and I'll show you how to do that right now. Lube up your outer Sprag race with blue assembly lube. That's going to help with the installation, because this is going to cut its way into the case with these serrations. This can go in any position. There is no up or down because the holes are equally spaced. Get your bolts started. It's easiest to let this outer Sprag race hang down a little bit so you can get them all started. That way you don't have a situation where you're going to cross thread something. Definitely don't want that. Let's see. Now, with the 6 bolts, we could slowly start drawing this into the case evenly. Now, this much I can tell you guys, this is going in a lot easier and a lot quicker with these 6 bolts than the 4 bolt 727 style, because you're only drawing it in with the 3 bolts on the bottom and 1 on top, so it's kind of, that one's kind of pulled in not as evenly. So this one's going right in. I guess the hardest part is just keeping up with all these bolts, because as you draw it in, you have to really tighten these other bolts. They loosen up. So that's really the hardest part, but this is going right in, as you can tell. And I'm almost there. And I am almost flush here. So now that you have the outer Sprag race installed completely flush into the transmission case, now you're going to install your attaching bolts. Now, I've got these ARP chromoly washers here. This did not come with any washers, but I'm going to use these that I have on hand because the outside diameter is pretty small and they're going to be able to fit right in here. So go ahead and install all of your bolts. You're going to torque to 12 foot-pounds in a crisscross pattern. The final step is going to be installing your plastic caged overrunning clutch assembly. Now this is impossible to get in wrong. It only goes in one way. You just line this guy up here and it drops into place just like that. That's it for the 518, 618 RHRE, however you want to call it, 4-speed Chrysler torque light. Bolt-in Sprag installation. I'll tell you what, it's a real easy installation with the A&A install tool. Thanks for watching.